Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So I want to talk a bit today about why you may be the biggest threat to your family in an SHTF situation and in life in general. Now, if you ask me, one of the worst things you can do is burden your family should you either pass away or should you become very ill due to neglecting your physical health. See, a lot of people, when they think about physical health, they only think about what it means to them. And undoubtedly, that is probably one of the best ways to motivate yourself. It has to be for you, first and foremost. But as a very, very close second, physical health should be for the benefit of your family members. Because if you become afflicted with some health problem, not only are you going to burden your family with an excessive amount of medical bills, and all of your affairs, which they're going to have to deal with once you pass on, the cost of funerals and all the rest. So we're not just talking about SHTF here, we're talking about everyday life. If you are neglecting your physical health, you are taking away from the next generation. Every act of self-indulgence that you partake in, it's essentially taking something from your children and from your family who may succeed you. One of the most selfish things you can do is not reach your physical potential as a human being. You reaching your physical potential is good for everybody else around you. Number one, you're going to live longer. Number two, you're not going to be dependent on medications. Because if you're dependent on these medications and the big pharmaceutical trucks stop rolling when the grid goes down, guess what? You're going to be SOL, you're going to be on your own, and you're probably not going to last too long, depending on what the condition is. If you're dependent on psychiatric medication, I understand that in some circumstances there is no other alternative, like in the case of psychotic disorders, schizophrenia, extreme forms of bipolar disorder, extreme forms of depression. But if you are dependent on these psychiatric meds, particularly antidepressants, when those things stop rolling and you combine that with the stresses of a grid down scenario where there's an immense amount of grief and loss, you are going to become incredibly suicidal. I think that if we were to see SHTF tomorrow and you have 20% of the population or something like that on psychopharmaceutical drugs, most of that being antidepressants and anti-anxiolytics, I think that's how we pronounce it, anti-anxiety medication, the rates of suicide of people who jump off antidepressants is very, very high. Pool that with grid down catastrophe and maybe losing lots of important people, losing everything you had worked for your whole life, losing your career, your hopes and dreams, everything that you have staked in this society as we know it, you're going to see a lot of suicide. You don't want to burden your family with that. If you don't take care of yourself right now, you are leaving your family with those medical bills. Obviously in Canada, we don't have to worry about that, but you're leaving the taxpayer with those medical bills, which is ultimately your family. You are basically making it so that they now have to fend for themselves. Without all your prepping wisdom and prepping knowledge, it all gets flushed down the toilet. Whatever you didn't convey to them before you passed on is lost. They lose what they had in you in terms of somebody who kept them safe, kept them secure. So I've done countless motivational videos on this channel when it comes to survival psychology, when it comes to physical fitness. Go back and watch some of those videos again. You need to take this seriously. This is the number one prep. You know, a channel I've watched for some time now, Country Prepping. He's going through some health problems, and I wish him the best. And you guys know me enough to know that when I make these videos, I'm not doing it in a condescending manner. I do it because I genuinely care about you being a better person. Because the fact is, if you're a better person physically, it makes the world a better place for me. Because I know you're going to be a better person mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and all of those things are going to contribute to society in a more positive way. So why wouldn't I want everybody else to be more fit? Now, the only place that might be detrimental for me is if if we went back to the laws of the jungle and it was a survival of the fittest scenario. Indeed, survival of the wittest is still going to be a factor, but you operate within the physical limitations of your body. Doesn't matter how smart you are, you're still operating within the physical limits of your body. If your health suffers, it doesn't matter if you're Steve Jobs, you're going to pass on. It doesn't matter if you're one of the smartest people on earth. If your physical body is not taken care of, if you neglect that part of yourself, it's all for naught. So that's why you have to do it. Now, getting back to Country Prepper, go subscribe to Country Prepper. Good channel, good guy. You know, one of the guys that I would trust, genuinely trust. He's having some health problems, and I left him a message on his video just saying, you know, I can't even really remember what I said. It's probably something along the lines of, you know, don't give up. You can always do something more. You can always push yourself a little bit more than you think you're pushing yourself now. It's always a choice. In one of the videos I did, I talked about how typically in any endeavor that we partake in life, we only push ourselves maybe to 75% of our true potential. Either we get lazy, or we just get scared of what might happen. Or what I think happens in most cases is that we're scared that we might actually succeed. We're scared that we might shock ourselves that we are great and that we can achieve something. It's like, let's say you're striving to become a manager of a big company or something like that, or an owner, whatever, chairman of the board, somebody in a high-ranking position. There's a part of you that really wants that, but there's a part of you that's scared of the responsibility that comes with that. And it's that which prevents you from really getting there. The same way, we all know that we could be that person. You can be that physically fit person that you visualize, person who doesn't have all these health problems. But there's a part of you that sabotages that pursuit. You can always eat a little bit healthier. You can always get a little bit more rest. You can always train a little bit more. There's always something you can do. Now, I know some people are permanently disabled. Again, if I was in a wheelchair, I would want 21-inch arms. I would be doing whatever I could to ensure that whatever strengths I had left, I maximized to compensate for my weaknesses. I know there's a lot of guys in wheelchairs who can shoot really well. Number one, they have a stable platform to shoot from, but basically, you know, they get a really steady hand because they gain all the motor skills, which the motor part of their brain, which was devoted to their legs, is now devoted to their upper body. So you can always become better at whatever it is you do. And if you are not in at least 90%, in the 90th percentile of what your age group or whatever it is in terms of the average for physical fitness, if you're not in that percentile and you consider yourself a prepper and a survivalist, then something's wrong. Your priorities are not in the right place. Your number one priority, if we're talking about survival, has to be your physical body. I did a video called 1 hour of exercise equals 7 hours more of life. And lo and behold, just a few months later, I seen some article somewhere which pretty much jacked the same title that I had. You know, whatever. Imitation is the best form of flattery. But the point I was trying to make in that video, and this was just off the top of my head, it's that 1 hour of exercise is going to lead to a longer life. Go out, push yourself, run, jump, push weights, do some sports, go for a walk. Do whatever you can relative to your physical condition that puts you out of your comfort zone. Maybe that means just going for a walk around the block. And then the next day you go for a walk around the block twice. And then you triple it, and then you quadruple it. And every day you keep raising the bar a little further. Till before you know it, you're running 10 miles a day. Maybe you can't run. Maybe you're biking. Maybe you're doing a rowing machine. If you're in a wheelchair, get a kayak. Go kayaking. Do some rowing. Do something. You know, all of this prepping, and you're sitting there, you're wasting your time on the computer, looking at this propaganda stuff, and, you know, getting all in an uproar about what's going on in the world when you're not taking care of yourself. That's what's going to save you in the end. Besides all the survival gear, look, survival gear is great. A pocket talk is great. It's very essential. Skills are great, but without physical fitness, it's worthless. If you cannot procreate, or if you cannot protect your progeny or your extended family members or your friends, then what's it all worth? Do not burden your family with your physical ineptitude. It's up to you to take control of your life, because nobody else is going to do it for you. You know, I'm sick and tired of people and their excuses, to be quite honest. I've done countless videos on physical fitness. It's not rocket science. You become what you see yourself as. I see myself as a physically fit person first, and out of shape person second. Thus, I naturally gravitate towards being physically fit. If you see yourself as a physically unfit person first and a fit person second, then you're constantly going to be lagging behind in where you would like to be in that regard. You're never going to be that. You're always going to be almost that. You're always going to be doing this yo-yo dieting thing. You're always going to be struggling to lose weight because you don't see yourself as that person first. You need to visualize you being a very extremely physically fit person. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80 years old, whatever. There are people I see at the gym who gotta be in their 90s. There's this one guy at the gym. Guy has to be in his 90s, or at least late 80s. He's still giving her in the gym. I know a guy who's in his 70s and is still lifting serious weight. People squatting 300-400 plates in their 60s. 300-400 pounds, not plates. Look at the statistics on how people die. You know, that's where you should base your preparedness on. That should be a guideline for how much time you devote to different aspects of prepping. If 90% of people die of natural causes, and if 50% of those people die from preventable illness as a result of poor lifestyle choices, well, change your lifestyle. Stop drinking. Stop smoking cigarettes. Just the withdrawal alone from that would be hell in a crap hits the fan situation. That's why you want to quit all of those bad things, and that's why I quit those bad things, because you're already going to be in a crappy situation, and heaven forbid you're now in a crappy situation and withdrawing from a substance. So don't be the reason why your family suffers. A lot of you say, oh, I'm prepping for my family, I'm prepping for this, I'm prepping for that, and you neglect your physical health. What they need the most is you. If they can get another 10 years out of you by you making the right decisions, by making the right lifestyle choices, then that's what you need to focus on. Don't focus on, stockpiling 10 years worth of food when you're only going to live another 5 years because you're making the wrong lifestyle choices. It's as simple as that. Anyways, I'm going to be signing out now. I'm off to do another backcountry adventure. I've been doing a lot of these adventures behind the scenes, and I've been releasing these videos. They're going to be scheduled to be released while I'm actually gone out there. And I'm going to be testing out something from Silky Saws. You guys are going to love this, man. This is crazy. It's almost insane. This new piece of gear that will be exclusively tested on this channel. It's almost silly, but it's crazy awesome. It's crazy awesome. So stay tuned. Canadian Prepper out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.